Hello, hello, hello. I'm going to be talking with the wonderful Roland and Sam about our second part 2 learning ABL. So, welcome, boys. How are you doing this afternoon, morning, evening, whatever it is?
Evening.
How are you doing? For people who missed the intro of ABL, Roland, could you give a quick introduction of what ABL is?
Actually,
Yes.
Can you hold on? Because I have questions before you.
You have questions?
I have questions.
Oh my goodness! What? Tell us.
All right, hold on. Let me bring up my screen if I can.
Wait, do you two also have giraffes? Is this in
No,
relation to
no, I do not have giraffes. I do have questions about OpenEdge and just trying to understand where things fit. Where is my screen? Sorry, technology gets in the way. Yes, okay, you can see my screen. Okay, so Roland is the pro here. Me and Alyssa are just trying to learn, and Roland did point us to something that I found really nice, so I will bring that up. And I did not know we did this or opened it up to so much more. So this is the thing called Progress Educational Community. Right, so you can log in and we can log in as employees, but looks like this is open to anyone, right, Roland?
Yep. Yeah. Right.
So this is quite nice because it's training that's free for anybody who wants to dive into some of the products we do. So maybe, Alyssa, this is things for you and me to also take note of, because we don't do this kind of thing for the dev tools side, which is Telerik and Kinder UI and Fiddler and some of the things that we work on.
Yeah, that'd be so fun. Yes.
We do have virtual classrooms that have some content. Some are instructor led, but this is kind of self-paced content for anybody to just learn by their own, which I thought was nice.
This is different than from the virtual classroom.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Roland, what is this educational community? Can you tell us more?
Yeah, well, the whole idea is that in the past, all training materials have to be paid for, and that can be quite a barrier for somebody to start this kind of education. So we've been, with a bigger company, it doesn't go that far. So we've been talking about this for some while. We said, well, we need to open it up. The more developers, the better. So let's lower the barrier, and this is the result. So all the basic training materials are in there, and of course somebody can still get an on-site training or doing it remote and so on. But these are basic materials are all there, just for free.
Very nice. So actually, let me kill a few things here so I can keep talking. Okay, so in here, if I go into basic OpenEdge Developer 12, so it looks like we are on 12. That's the latest edition.
It's the latest,
right?
The latest and greatest. Yeah.
So look at that list. I'm 14% in.
Wow.
Because they started just last night.
What does it look like? Show us
when
you're taking it. Is it like?
So
what kind of thing does it
start here?
It's a questionnaire. I am confused.
Hold on, I want to go all the way back to where it began. No, and I'm all the way out. Introduction. All right, start over. There you go. Okay, so for anybody who's new to OpenEdge, like me and Alyssa, this is a good starting point. It really explains what the technology is, what are the different features, and how you program which parts of the system. OpenEdge is, all-inclusive development and deployment platform. Includes your database, includes your middle tier, includes your client applications deployable on-premise or in the cloud. A nice video here that's an intro. And this is kind of where things begin, essentially. So let me see if I can zoom in. You can still see my screen, right?
Yep. Yes.
So this is what the overall architecture is, from what I could understand. So business data and business logic, and this is where most of the magic happens. Roland, is that right? Like this is the where ABL shines mostly. Application business.
Of course, I think we got a great database. And in the end, for any logic, you need persistence. So that's where your database is for. Yeah. But the real productivity comes from the business logic. Yeah.
Right. So in classic three-tiered architecture, you can have more if you want. And then it kind of dives into what the high-level process architecture is. So you have client processes. So now when we talk about these processes, Ronald, are they like, server threads we are talking about? What's the process?
Well, that's a way to look at it. I mean, we have what we call it a multi-session agent. So the app server, that's basically what's running on the server side. It's a multi-session agent, which means the product itself is multi-threaded, but the language itself is not multi-threaded. So it's not that you can create in ABL multiple threads, but the execution, that's a multi-threaded session.
Okay. All right. So
each process is one thread. Yeah.
Each process.
I don't know what a thread means. What are we talking about?
Think about a CPU trying to execute a string of commands, instructions, right? So if it's like a single core CPU it can do one thing at a time, then it will just do things, one after another. But when you go off on a multi core machine, then they can run in parallel unless you ask it not to. But a thread essentially is one block of CPU that can execute things on one flow. Ronald, I'm not explaining this right?
Like a task?
No, you are. It's a sequence of steps that the process takes. And let's say, so our app server, the executable, is multi-threaded, so we can execute multiple threads, making better use of CPU, memory, shared memory, whatever. Right? Some languages, like in Java, you can create yourself. You can create multiple threads in your application. You can say, well, I'm not going to do this and then that and then that. No, I'm going to do 3 things at the same time, and then you're responsible for the execution. And in the end, they all need to come together. I mean, you only want to take the next step in your process if all those 3 subtasks have been done, and that's quite complex. I mean, that's why in the ABL it's a business language. That's why we say, well, the execution is not multi-threaded, just for performance reasons and so on, and resource reasons. But in the ABL, it's single. The language itself is single-threaded. Does that make sense?
Yeah. All right, and then the docs talk about what's a server process, how you can have brokers, servers, and different types of ways of accessing the OpenEdge database, different modes of handling remote clients, and how do things happen in sequence, shared memory, before, after writes, and different types of read writes. And
that's all to do. Yeah, that's the same kind of stuff. I mean, the database, when there are a lot of when the database is under heavy load, then it can be that you need to save off a lot of information to disk. I mean, it needs to be persistent in the end. Yeah? Just in memory, then that's quite dangerous. So, and it can do that asynchronously. So you don't have to wait till something is written to disk. You can just continue, and in the background, asynchronously, it starts writing stuff to disk. But it's all that you don't have to care about it. I mean, that's just it's just a toggle that you set and it does it.
Right, and this is all baked in. So, Alyssa, we don't need to go into this because I don't understand all of this. This is complicated. But once it gets to the client side, things get much easier. But this is the thing that both Alyssa and me are on a Mac, and we can remote into. I actually do run Windows on 2 machines. This is all Windows based because this is the Developer Studio. This is one IDE that lets you do everything you want, with OpenEdge. But the client-side apps, you can write it with any type of IDE based on what technology that you're using. But this is really nice because it's it lets you visually do things, everything. Lets you write code in ABL, test, debug your application, and even package it up for deployment and integration. So that's all pretty good. So here are the client processes and the different types of clients that can connect to OpenEdge. So first thing is the ABL client. This is the visual side of ABL. And then we have mobile clients and web service clients and SQL clients. But the ABL client, if I'm understanding this right, what it essentially means is the type of technology that you use to write that client in, and GUI for .NET. This is for .NET developers, and it sounded like Ronald, this is like mostly Windows Forms is what you can do.
That is Windows Forms. Yeah.
Yep. So the GUI for .NET, this is not difficult to understand. It's WinForms client right here, and you connect to OpenEdge through, I'm guessing, regular data connectors like ADO connectors, or
no. This is something specific that Progress created. So
okay.
Indeed, the user interface, the whole of the UI is .NET, but we created an ABL bridge. So the communication from the GUI to the ABL code running on the client still, that's done via our own bridge. So it means that if you click a button, then the event hits the ABL via that bridge. And in the ABL, if you publish an event, then it goes via the bridge, and then it pops up in your .NET GUI.
I see. Okay. All right. More details about how things work, process-wise. This is sounded like this was, older school ways of doing things, before Windows.
95,
Yeah. And then there's the character client, which is old school, like
it is
legacy.
But you shouldn't underestimate it, because
that's true.
What most companies like big ERP applications and so on. I mean, you still run a lot of batch processing.
That's true. And
that runs headless, so that just runs like a character client, connected sometimes even via shared memory. It's extremely fast. So this is still for most applications. This is still a big part of big part of the business.
Yeah. And then you can have and then we go into other types of clients like mobile and open, and these are the places where Java comes in. These are the places where other CLRs or proxies come in. This is also the place where web services can connect up to it. And can the web services be written in anything, Ronald?
Sorry,
the web service clients, because you're essentially consuming either SOAP or REST, right?
Yeah. So the client can be anything. Yeah.
Client can be anything. Okay. So this is nice. So kind of talks about how we connect, and what is PaaS? PaaS is essentially the process
that's the app server.
That's the app server.
And that's just to differentiate. We have we call it classic app server that we had a couple of versions ago, and the new app server is PaaS for OpenEdge, PaaS Win.
Okay, so for Alyssa and me who don't know the intricacies of OpenEdge, like we want to just connect to the app server. We just want to connect to the app server and let the app server talk to the database. So can we, expose a REST service out from an app server so that we can, interact with the data over, standard JSON?
Yep, of course. Yep, that's what we can do. Yeah.
All right, so that's the part that would be the easiest for me and Alyssa to get into. So, Alyssa, I don't know if you want to as well, but this is, I found the documentation to be nice, to be able to just, skim through and understand.
Yeah, I just pulled it up. I love that you're showing this.
This is nice. Oh, and then it actually has little pieces of little trivia, like you're building, Progress 4GL OpenEdge. What can you use? So right off the gate, I can say Java. I talked about ABL. Sure, I'm guessing VB.NET. We can do VB, right? If we can do, WinForms, JSON doesn't sound like a language. So submit. Yeah, there you go. See, you don't code in JSON. JSON is your data language. Oh, which client is written in HTML and/or JavaScript? So Alyssa's world runs in a web browser and accesses services using a web server using HTTP or HTTPS. Oh. Browser-based web client? They all look pretty similar, like web services client, or no, I suppose it's not a web services. Web services is the RESTful endpoint. So browser-based?
Yes, that makes sense.
Oh no!
What the heck is that? What is that?
That's a bit that's a bit confusing. That's something that we used in the past, and the new app server, it supports the protocol, so it's still called a web speed protocol, but we don't develop web speed applications.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Oh, it says right here, it runs on web browser. But I mean, a web-based app is essentially what this is, right?
Basically, that's what it should be.
Okay. All right. So I wasn't that wrong.
No.
Okay. So this is nice. And then, I mean, if I keep on going, it talks about, course eval. No, let's keep on going. Complete. Look at that. Next. Oh, now I'm out, actually. And now it takes you into the next module and so on. But Ronald was gracious enough to stand up a VM so we can actually tinker with this. So, Ronald, should I try connecting to it?
Yeah.
All right, let me see. So this is my remote desktop connection. I actually can connect to my Windows machine, which is sitting down under my desk. And then this is the other IP. So I'm going to hit connect. Hold on. Is this something you want us to do live, or maybe not expose this out? So I will.
You're not going to show the password, so.
I can take your screen off. Okay, it's gone.
There you go.
We cannot see. What is the password? Maybe Cheetos. I don't know.
All right, hold on, people. I'm going to type in from my phone. And type ABL. Okay, and password is
Don't say.
No, I'm not saying it. I think it's trying to connect. Okay, we're in. I think.
Yep.
There you go. Okay. Exit full screen. Okay. Let me not go full screen on this. Let me just keep it just like that so I can still see the rest of what's going on. Wait.
Look at this weird custom layout. Sorry. Just thought I'd click a button as Alyssa does.
Okay.
Ooh. Okay. So this. Oh, whoa. What happened to our.
To our what?
Well, it was all of a sudden nice and chunky, and now it's tiny again. What happened?
Oh, no. I want it to be tiny because I don't care about my eyes. You should see my MacBook resolutions. Like, I operate at the max possible resolution. I can lose my eyes quick enough. No, I can make this bigger. But essentially, this is a Windows machine that's been stood up. And where is this, Ronald? Is this in Azure, in the cloud? Somewhere?
It's Azure, yeah.
Okay. All right. So
it's running in Western Europe, so I could our templates are created in Western Europe. So
nice. See the magic of the cloud. Let's just do things like this. Okay, so this is Developer Studio. Now walk us through a little bit. What am I looking at? What am I going to do here?
Yeah. So basically, this is our plugin into Eclipse. Eclipse is called ABL, all but Microsoft. So this is an open source developer environment, and we just created our own plugin for our own tooling.
Okay.
There are alternatives. I mean, there are some open source plugins for developers for Visual Studio Code, but this is still the most comprehensive because all the tools are in here. So I think this is the best one now to pick for your learning ABL.
So I see a connection, like is there a sports database somewhere?
Yeah, so I've set this up for you, and we have let's say a standard demo database, EEP kind of thing with, you can look it up here.
Like this one here on the right.
Yeah, if you look in the tables, then you can see that there is...
not the system tables.
No, not the system tables.
tables there. Okay.
So these are customers and orders and sales and whatever.
So pretty realistic, set of, dozen or more tables. Okay, so, and it's already preloaded with data?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is this something, like, where would I be typing, if I wanted to query the database, like, where would I be typing ABL into this, or do I not do that here?
No, this is the SQL perspective and
Okay.
SQL Explorer. So so you can enter your SQL commands here and see the results and so on. So
What is this window? This looks like empty.
Which one? The big main one?
Yeah, the main one here in the middle, like that looks like empty. Is there something supposed to be here?
I don't think so. No. Well, I never use this, so I don't know. There should be an option here somewhere to create your own SQL commands, because there is a results section there. But
Yeah, there is a results section.
Yeah. I don't know.
So the other thing that Ronald had showed us the other day. Can I switch browsers? Yeah. Okay. So this is the the documentation and the courseware, and then Ronald had also pointed us to a dojo, which I thought was really nice. So essentially, if I bump this up, so this is essentially just a web-based dojo where I can just type in ABL, and it's already pre-connected to a demo database, and we can do SQL type queries, and things run. So for me to do this on this machine, where would I be even typing anything?
So first, so you should first switch your perspective. So if you go to Window in the menu, Window in the menu. Yeah, that's one. Yeah. So there is perspective.
Oh, perspective. Oh,
perspective.
Like you said, like I thought you were asking me to change my perspective.
Too. Yeah, I was like, where's he going?
It's my fancy Dutch accent. Yeah, that's.
No, I have to change my perspective on life, like how I see things.
I know. I was like, oh, it's getting real. Sam, you got all of it. It's got to all change.
I have to change it up. Yeah.
So you can open your OpenEdge editor. That's the
I
one.
See.
OpenEdge editor. So. And now you can, if you just want to type something, just try it out. And then if you go to Window, then there's also a view in there. Show view, 2 ones down. Yeah, show view. And there's ABL Scratchpad. If you click that one, then it will open a Scratchpad below.
Oh,
and then you can just like with what you just did with ABL Dojo. So now there below you can just
this window here. This doesn't look like it's showing anything. So can I minimize that? There you go. So now I can see ABL Scratchpad. So can I just type in whatever here? Like any ABL command is okay?
Yeah, this is not so if they do message hello world, then it will.
Oops, what did I do? See, I'm too used to my Windows shortcuts. Or my Mac shortcuts. Message, just does caps matter?
No.
Okay.
And then put quotes around. You see the help already.
Oh, look at that! IntelliSense is right there.
Yeah. Message hello world, and then.
So now, what is this executing against? Like, what is the runtime? Like, this is already preloaded an ABL runtime.
Well, if you see at the right upper corner there, it says shared AVM. To the right
upper corner, yes.
Shared AVM. If you click on it, then you can also choose the project you're in. I created a project for you, Learn ABL. So we get different projects or workspaces, whatever you want to call them. So you can execute in the shared AVM, but you can also execute it in one of the projects, because each project has its own settings, configuration, database connections, and so on.
I see. So for me to just execute this on the shared AVM, I can just hit play.
Yeah, just click and then it will say a message, hello world.
Okay.
This one. Well, if you do it in the project, so if you close this one, then you will get a nice message. Yeah, just press spacebar to continue. It says so. Because now it's starting. Yeah. So if you go to the other project, not shared AVM. So
I see.
Yeah.
To the Learn ABL.
Learn ABL. Yeah, and then you run it. If you now run it again, and probably you will get a nice message box. No, still not. Okay, well, whatever.
Okay. No, we understand. Hey, hello world. This is the start.
Hello world.
Okay. So
this is Scratchpad. Yeah.
Yeah. So we had that data. Where did that data connection go? No, hold on.
Yeah.
You just had a database. How do I see that back?
You can switch the perspective again.
Oh, I see. So these things, that's all a matter of perspectives.
What is?
Yeah.
It's like.
Yeah, so perspective, it says, well, I'm in editor mode, so I want to have the project explorer and console and all that other stuff. Yeah.
Well, there's a whole DB navigator. This is Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
So DB Database Navigator is essentially like a SQL Studio type look, so you can actually see all of your tables. So like the customer table, I can see all the columns. Can I like open some? Oh, I can actually see the entire table right here.
Yeah, and even the data and so on.
Yeah. So Alyssa, these are all the columns that make up the table in the customer, or make up the data in the customer table. And these are the indexes. This is the primary key, which is the customer number. I have a foreign key. No, there is no foreign key on here.
Not for customer. Yeah.
And this, if I do a preview, it actually brings data back. Okay.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it just does a select statement. Yeah.
Oh, now can I do this like through the perspective that you showed me? Can I do a SQL like select star from customer?
You can, but I mean that's not ABL. ABL has its own way of accessing data. Okay. So for doing it the ABL way, you should try something different.
Can I? Yeah, let's show us how to do that. So which one was that? Where did we OpenEdge editor?
Yeah, go back there.
Okay, and no, where did that go? Because we had an editor before.
We did.
Yeah.
Was it under
Scratchpad?
Oh,
yeah, it was hiding. Yeah. It was hiding. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So what's the ABL way of looking at that customer?
Yeah. The basic language statement is the for each. So if you just say for each, with a space in between. For each.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
It also highlights it.
For each customer, if you type a couple of letters in IntelliSense with control space, it will.
Okay.
Yeah. And then a semicolon for each customer. Sorry, not a semicolon, a column. Double column. Sorry. Yeah. No, don't do this. Escape, and then press enter. Then on the next line, do escape.
So what are these?
These are all the options that you can do with the customer. I mean, you can, so all the methods and whatever.
Okay.
So enter, and then go to a new. Yeah, you don't have, but go to the new line, and they say display, display, and then pick one of the fields from customer. So just type customer, and then use IntelliSense control space, and then it will. If you type cust and then control space.
Is it capital?
No, it doesn't matter. No. And then control space.
Control space is different for Windows and Mac. I'm trying to understand.
I know.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah. Okay.
And then it shows all the customer. So display customer name or something. I don't know.
Oh yeah, this is very nice. So, well, a lot of fields in here.
Oh yeah.
Customer name.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, then remove the cust. Yeah. That was just there to get the IntelliSense.
Oh, I see. I just
IntelliSense started.
Got it. Yep. So I want the customer name and I want what city. So is that comma separated?
No, just a space separated.
Just a space.
Yeah.
And now it's not giving me that. Or maybe let's do oh, there you go.
Yeah. Sports of the customer. Yeah, so the first one.
Oh, what's the sports? Oh, I see. Sports is the name.
Yeah, that's a database name. There's a logical database name. Because you can have multiple databases and each can have a customer table.
And then how does it? Oh, I need to do a dot. Oh, there you go. And I want the city.
And then the city. Yeah.
Okay.
And then a dot. A dot again. Dot. So every line needs to be ended with a dot.
Oh, okay. All right.
And then enter. And then in the end, in the next line, you just if you go back to the start of the line and then you type in type in end.
End. Okay.
End dot.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't have to, but that's nicer. Yeah.
Sure. So all right. Can I run this?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
And then it displays all the data in the customer table. So there's no filtering yet. I mean, it's
yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can get used to this. This is not difficult. Yeah.
It's not difficult.
So how do you go from like this to plugging it into like the front end? What? How do you...
Well, that's the next step. We need a RESTful endpoint. So let's just start with this, Ron. Like, let's just say Alyssa and me are coming in new. We don't don't know how to do anything, which is very true here. But we are excited about the customer table. We just want the name and the city. But this info that we are pulling back from OpenEdge database through ABL, we want this data out of this system or this machine so that we can, have it as REST.
So to do that, I mean, this is just Scratchpad. I mean, so exposing a REST service from Scratchpad, that doesn't work. I mean, it's just there to try out things and look in the database and see what's going on and whatever.
Oh, and look at that. This also has paging built in, so I can hit the space bar and it just kind of scrolls.
Yeah, it does.
Nice. Yeah. And then why does it not honor the close?
You have to press escape. I mean, this is.
Escape.
It's not. Yeah.
I like how you put that. It does not honor the close.
No, well, once you press escape, it says, "Hey, now you can hit the spacebar to continue." Yeah. Okay.
But it's just because it's running in Scratchpad and that's just default behavior as well. So if you look at the left side, I created a project for you, Learn ABL. And maybe you can shortly have a look at the different kind of projects. So if you go to File and then do New. Then new, and then it says OpenEdge project. If you click on it, then you can see this is the wizard that helps you to create a new project. So we have server-side processes, server-side projects, client-side. So if you click first on server on the big button, then you can see we have app server projects, web projects, and REST project. I won't go into too much detail, but that are just a different dialect. So what I created for you is a REST project.
Yeah. And then client lets you, there you go.
Yeah.
What's CHUI? Don't tell me it's chat GPT.
Character UI.
Character, yes, okay.
Yeah. But you can also create a web UI and ABL and GUI for .NET as we just want. In general, one of the projects I already created there is a Learn ABL test at the left side, and that's an ABL unit. So we have our own unit testing framework in place.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right, so
you of course do test-driven development. So you start with creating unit tests, and then you create your code. We all do that, don't we?
Yeah, well, you're supposed to.
We're supposed to, Okay, you can close this one.
Okay, so REST is what you essentially did.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what it does by default, it creates an app server directory package, everyone call it. So now you can because. As I said, it's a server-side project. It runs on the app server. So by default, it says, probably you want to have code that is in an app server package. You can call it any name, of course, but that's what it does by default. There's also a parse-OE content. So the app server, as I explained last time, the parse-OE is basically running within Tomcat. So we use Tomcat as an app server for our own plugin to, in the end, run the ABL code. So what we're going to create now, the REST service will automatically be deployed to Tomcat. That's running on this machine, and we kind of white labeled it. We call it the Progress App Server, but it's basically Tomcat with our extensions.
Sure.
So maybe I can.
Is this? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. If you look in Chrome, I started the Chrome instance there.
Yeah.
There we have two tab folders. One is that's our OpenEdge management, so that's our tooling to configure and start and stop databases. That's very extensive. There are all kinds of things that you can do with.
Yeah. No, sorry. I was trying to maximize Chrome. There you go.
Okay. Yeah. Because we have things like transparent data encryption and there's a huge amount of options in there, but just by default you can just say, I have my database, I'm just going to start it, it's listening on a certain port, and that's it. Yeah. And it's automatically started with Windows. And the next step is the progress app. Sorry,
this is running on localhost, so it gives you access directly to the database to do other things on the database. Interesting.
Yes. You can also do all your maintenance on your database. And as you can see, that you can track the user activity, the logs and latches and anything. Okay. And we have other tools that go much more in technical detail if you So the next step follows the Progress Application Server. So there's running a default app server instance on this machine, which is automatic, which is now already connected to that database, because of course your app server needs to have a connection to your database. And there you deploy your applications. As you can see there are web application names in there in the list. There's root, that's a default one that we already provide you if you install the app server. But I also deployed the Learn ABL project. It's empty, of course. There's nothing deployed yet because you still need to create some code. But if you're going to create code in your Learn ABL project and you say publish, then it will be published here in our app server, and it will just generate a WAR file, and that will be deployed to Tomcat. That's just a default way of deploying on Tomcat.
What's in the root?
Our own tooling. So we got a ping service and we got some management services. Those are all there only for development, because we're on a development machine, a development license. If you go to production, then that's all stripped, because a production machine needs to be hardened. So we don't deploy all that default stuff that's only there for development.
Sure. Okay. So right now you're saying we haven't really written anything in our ABL, project. So could we write that same SQL or the REST thing? Does that expose, all tables by default?
No, but we're gonna do one at a time. So we're gonna. You could. Of course, you can create something which does it dynamically. That you can just say, I'm going to create a REST service, and dynamically I can access any kind of table and so on. But I'd like to just start simple. So we're just going to create a class that does all the CRUD actions for one table, and then we're going to look at how that looks.
Sure.
Yep.
Okay.
So if you go back to Developer Studio. So now in your app server directory to the left, if you right click on it, then you can say, okay, I'm going to create a new what? Well, we're going to create a ABL, where is it? A business entity. So what is it? The fourth from the bottom, business entity. So the basic concept there is, and this is a very, very simplified version, but basically if you're going to develop a business application, then you have entities. And you have a customer, you have an order, or have all kinds of logical entities. And this is just a kind of a wizard that says, I'm going to do the default plumbing for you. I'm going to inherit from a base class that has all those CRUD actions in there.
Okay. So I can name it.
You can name it. Yeah. We're going to do it for customer. So our customer, whatever. Yep. Our customers. There are some modifiers. Just like with any OO language, you can make it abstract or final. Serializable is for, if you want to pass it from one environment or one process to the other, then you need to serialize and deserialize it and sort of. That's all not needed for now. No.
Okay, it's not reason. Okay.
No.
So for REST, we don't need to bother with any of that right now.
We don't need to do all that kind of stuff So just click next.
Okay, what are these? So error handling, method stubs. Okay.
Yeah, so we got a default kind of throw catch mechanism implemented. And by default, it generates some code that says, I'm going to trap all errors on the highest level and just rethrow them up the stack.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
All right, hitting next. Look at that. This is nice.
Yeah. So it will generate the operations for you, so the CRUD operations, and then you do select database table. We only got the sports database connected, and then you choose customer. And what it will do is it will generate we have our database, and we need to get data from that database and publish it as a REST service in JSON format. What we use internally in all coding is that we create a data set. It's comparable with the .NET data set. So we can have a data set with all the customers in there. So we fetch the data from the database, we put it in the data set, and then we can expose it as JSON or whatever, or XML, whatever you like.
No, this is nice.
And that,
Alyssa, do you have any questions about this? Sorry, go ahead.
The right data set before image. That's a really interesting one, because we're going to create a state-free application normally. I mean, the client doesn't have any state with the server, and you want to use optimistic locking. So you read a customer, maybe you're going to show it up in a screen for the end user. He's going to make changes, and then after so many seconds, minutes, he's going to press submit. You don't want to lock that record in the database. You do it to read, basically. Yeah?
So the difference between the CRUD and the CRUD and submit is when it gets written out to the database. Is that immediate versus batch it up and then write?
No. Submit just means that you can do multiple updates and assign them in one time to the class on the app server. But the data set before image does it. Then if you have a client that uses the let's say the progress way of accessing the data set, then you don't just get your data, you get a before and after table. Which means that on the client you make changes, then you update your after table, basically. You save that to the server, and on the server, then the server first says, well, I'm going to compare your before table with the data in the database. If it is not the same, then somebody changed your data in the meantime. And that's what you need for concurrency and so on. So that's just a built-in topic.
All right. So hit finish.
Finish. Yeah. Okay. So now it generated a class and it generated a data set. What you can see here already on the first line is then we generate annotations. Those annotations are used when we are going to deploy this as a REST service. In ABL, annotations are only used for tooling. So they are not part of the resulting code. If you deploy then the annotations are not there. Some other languages do use them at runtime, but we only use them at, let's say, at compile time for tooling. But this steers the way that that your endpoints will be generated. So you can see file type is REST, it says there, and so on.
And I see like defined data source for sports customer right there.
Customer, it has our customers.i that's also generated. So if you open the app server directory to the left side, so in the tree view there, then there's also an our customers.i that's also been generated. You can just double click.
What is the I file?
Include. We call it include.
Okay.
So what it is?
Sorry. So I'm just saying, like, this is essentially all of the fields from the customer table that it's trying to bring back.
It just took it from the database with the same index and stuff like that.
And so if you wanted your data set to have a subset of what the fields are, you can trim this down right here.
You can just remove everything except city and name, and then it would just have But you can also, of course, in here, like make combinations. Like you say, well, I'm gonna make a combination of multiple database tables into one new data set or whatever. But it's because it's a logical view and not a physical structure in the database.
Yeah, no, this is good. Alyssa, you following along so far?
Kind of.
Okay. Any questions you have?
Yeah, I still am curious how we get to printing out a customer.
We're getting there.
We're getting there.
Yeah. Okay.
So
this
if
is
you
good.
go back to our customers.class, so it's still open there. So basically, you don't have to do anything. I mean, it's all generated code, and it's just kind of a template, and it just says, well, in the constructor, I'm gonna call my super. It inherits from business entity, which is a base class that we ship with the product. It's just meant as an example and for demos and for study. I mean, it's not something that you would use in production or whatever, but it's a nice example. Yes. And all the methods that they don't do anything. The only, as you can see here, read our customer. The only thing it does, it's just basically call the super.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is all good. So with just that, is it ready for deployment?
Yeah. So now, if you, what you can see in the Project Explorer, there's a thing you call there defined services to the bottom. Lower. Oh, halfway. No.
Defined services. Okay.
Defined services.
Okay.
Yeah. So there it says, well, when I created the project, it asked me, well, what's the name of your service? Well, default is Learn ABL service. So if you double click on it, then there's a wizard again, and that says, well, okay, project is Learn ABL, transport is web, and I'm going to create a data object service. And it's a bit too much to go into detail, but we got something like a JavaScript library that's very handy for client developers. So if you want to build a web front end on top of our service, you can do it directly via the REST API. But there's also a JavaScript library that's very handy to do all the kind of communication and all the plumbing, basically.
Okay.
For now, this is fine. So just press next. So what you see here, it says, well, I have one class in my project that probably has some annotations. Before you press finish, first select the sample URI because we're going to need it. So just click, select everything and copy it because we're going to need it to paste it in Chrome.
Oh, I see.
Yep. Okay. Yep. Okay. Finish. Yep. So if you can you bring up the also like the scratchpad and so on? That complete set, because it also has, and there's also a, where is it? It's only the console. Can you go to window and then view, and then, because I want to show the app server from here, show view, and then there is, where is it? Nope. If you go to other,
the
bottom one, other. Yeah, it's not in the list here. And then there is, if you scroll down, server.
Oh, wait. Oh, there we go. OpenEdge server monitor.
No, the second one, servers. Yeah, that's
servers.
Yeah. Okay. So first we need to start this app server. Yeah. So this is the apps. Well, that's a bit strange because it was already. Let me check. Can you go to Chrome? Because it was running, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't running.
If you press start, then okay. Yeah, you did timeout. So log in and and if you I have to go back to resources in the breadcrumbs. Yep. And then scroll down, see the OE pass 1 again.
Hi, Fuel. We're learning ABL, which is a business logic language. Is it a language? Is it a framework?
Yeah.
Language?
No, it's everything all together.
OE pass 1 on the bottom.
All of it.
Okay,
Sam,
wait.
OE pass
which
1
one?
on the bottom. OE pass 1, the bottom. Progress application server tab. No, lower, much lower.
Oh, this one.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, click on it. Yeah. You just click on the link. So,
just click on the link. Okay. There you go.
And then press start. Yeah. So now it's starting up and it's connecting to the database and so on. So that will take a couple of seconds.
Yeah. Fuel wants to know what ABL is used for.
It's for business languages and business applications. Yeah.
So, full trample, maybe we should back up if you're asking. So, if we head out to progress, and if you look at everything that we do, we are talking about, wait a second, where is it? OpenEdge, right there. So this is OpenEdge, and it's enterprise app development. So it includes everything that you can think of that lots and lots of enterprises depend on for their business critical applications and data. So it has its own database. It has its own business language. So you can write a middle tier on top of it, and you can have any type of client apps that you build. Web-based, mobile, desktop-based. So that's what we are learning. So an all-inclusive development and deployment platform.
And so far on today's episode, Sam was using, what is the GUI thing you were in? What is that called?
Not this one.
But the other...
This is called the Progress Developer Studio.
Okay, so in Progress Developer Studio, Sam has been creating with just endpoints so that we can access the data, right? Is that what
basically
the GUI helped us generate?
Well, I mean, it's a project, so it has some code that can spew up a server process that in turn turns around and talks to the database.
And now you're working on getting it served up, or did you already get it served? What were we?
Let's see. It's running now, right? Yep,
Okay.
it's running.
Yep.
All right.
So if you go back to Developer Studio, then if you click on the no, it's already running. It's just started, synchronized. If you open it up, so on the left side there's that small arrow here. Let's click on the So what you can see is that it publishes two things. One is it says Learn ABL. That's your code. So this code, our customers class, will be compiled and published on that app server because that's where it needs to be executed. But the app server is basically Tomcat, so it can also publish our web services. So that's the second part. Learn ABL service as a ABL data object, we call it a web feed service. So that's publishing the WAR file and so on.
So that's the web speed thing that we are talking about. And it's full time. It looks like JVM because it's Eclipse based. But then the language has some proprietary things to it.
Yeah, correct. So it's up and running. We published our service. So now if you go to Chrome, then we should be able to do a REST call to read our customers. So if you can tap and then paste in what you're already. So now we have to change the host. That's localhost. Localhost. The default port is localhost. Default port is 8810. 8810. I need a colon in between. Localhost.
Can I just hold on? What is that?
Between localhost and 8810. I mean, you need to.
Oh, I do have a column.
There's a column.
Is it there? I can't see it.
I can't see it.
It's there. It's there.
Oh, it is. Oh, sorry. So this is. I mean, as I said, this is for development purposes. So what it does, it says, well, I've published this. The localhost 8810. That's a port I'm listening on. No, you need to change.
I know. I'm getting to it.
That's customers. Our customers. Sorry.
Oh, look at that. That's Jason coming right back at us.
Yeah, cool, isn't it? So what it does, so this URL, this goes to Tomcat. Tomcat says, oh, I know this one, Learn ABL. So we're gonna delegate this to our progress application server. Then it runs the code that you just created, the class, our customers.cls. Our customers, by default, it says, well, you don't give any other parameters. So I'm just gonna call the read method. That's the read customers that you generated. And that just goes to the database and fills a data set with all the customers and returns it in JSON format. And you can check that if you now go to Developer Studio, then on the there is there's a console in there to the bottom, just like servers. Console. Okay. And then you can see what it did when you started all this. It says it did a compile, it generated the JSON file, the Learn ABL service.json, and a .gen file, and that's all been deployed to Tomcat, and then it knows how to deploy that as a REST service.
So to answer chatroom's question, Fullschnabel, like OData, I mean, this is kind of similar to what OData standards would be. It's RESTful now.
But this is more an RPC kind of call. So we have basically two different ways of exposing the REST service. One is RPC style. That's what we just did with CRUD actions in there. So you get you put your post and you get and a delete. If you want to make it fully RESTful, and that's maybe something like a hate OES compliant or whatever. Maybe that's something for the next week. Because the alternative then, and we call it a web handler, and that means that in ABL you just receive the URL, and you can do with it whatever you like. So you can say, well, I'm going to do a /customer/1/order/5, and then it finds customer 1 with order 5. You cannot do that now. No, we have to.
Oh, I see.
No,
I see. We haven't enabled it.
There's a little bit of work behind it, but that makes it very, very powerful. And then you can, in ABL, you can create your own response, your HTTP response. And then, like if you say, well, I want to have a RESTful service, then maybe you also want to add the other URLs that you can do as follow-up. Like if you do a get, then maybe next time you want to do an update or a delete, and then it gives you the URLs and so on that you can use in the documentation.
Yeah, full Schnabel, I see what you're getting to. Like as powerful as REST is, I used to be a big fan of OData because of exactly that. You can follow the traces, you can follow the graph a little better, and you can do so much with your parameters. So I see what you're saying. So this is a good first step here. So essentially, we stood up a server and we just pointed at one database, and it brings JSON back over a REST endpoint. And if now this is running on localhost, now if Ronald, we set this up so that this localhost and this IP is publicly available, then I can consume this from a .NET MAUI app or any other Windows or Mac app. Alyssa can write up an Angular client or a React client. It doesn't matter, because then it's just data coming through an app service.
Correct. So that's something that we have to figure it out, because this is running, of course, on the Azure virtual machine.
Yeah.
So there will be a firewall. So I have to see how we can get. Well, we need to open a port to 808.10. That's it.
Sure.
That's all we need to do. There's nothing to do with the ABL, but it's just setting up the VM in the right way.
Yeah, and to answer Full Schnabel's question, this is very SQL-like, but it's proprietary language. So we were playing around with this while we got started. Where did I have to change my perspective again. This is a really funny way of saying it. Like,
there's a button for it.
Oh, there's a button for it? Where is that?
I don't know. You have to look for it. DB Navigator. Yeah, go up the right button, most right button. Okay. Yeah, DB Navigator. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. So this was the table that we went after, but full Schnabel, you can write very SQL-like things, like so for each customer, blah blah blah. Where I'm sure it was, what is it called, Ronald? Like where clauses. Like if I'm doing like where customer ID is this or that, or where city is this.
Sam, you already know it. I mean, I don't have to tell you anything.
It's a word clause, essentially. Okay, so you can do all types of filtering and all types of ordering, sorting, whatever you need. And all of that could be a part of your app, the code that you write in there, and then that's what it comes out of the REST service.
Yeah. Okay. The code that you just created, as I said, it inherits from business entity, and that has it all in there. I mean, so we are now already able to use the filtering and the sorting and paging and all that kind of stuff. That it's just inherited from that default class in there.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm looking at the time here. I need to go serve snack to a kid who's a hangry kid.
This has been so great, though. I'm so grateful for Roland and for Sam teaching me this stuff. It's all there's a lot of foreign words thrown there, so I'm taking it all in. But thank you so much for walking us through this. This has been a really productive day. I mean, we got the API, right?
Yeah.
You're like, ooh.
It's a good first step. So we started with absolutely nothing. We saw the database and we wrote a service that we could, deploy. And now we have a RESTful service, and then we can, build on top of it. So perhaps, Ronald, for next week, if you can figure out how to open up that port on that Azure VM, that way I can reach out to that service outside and build any type of client with it.
Yep. Sounds like a plan.
All right. Full Schnabel, thanks for coming in with some questions. And this has been a good learning exercise for me. So thank you, Ronald.
You're welcome, Sam. Yeah, you're good at it. Yeah.
Maui, how is Maui coming along? A little slow off late because I've been. So the thing is, like, we can show all types of demo apps, but when the rubber hits the road, when you're actually building an app that you want to ship, it takes time because you get to see some of the pain points of any technology stack, tooling, some of the rough edges, and then packaging up an app with all of its design assets and trying to go to the app stores. That's a whole other set of pain points and journeys. So I'm coming along. I'm trying to build an app that I can push to the stores. I haven't done that in a couple of years, so a little bit behind the scenes for now, but hopefully I can get that out within a month.
That's exciting.
How are your code signing skills, Sam?
Oh, not good. That's where the tooling comes in, and Apple and Google, they all have different requirements on code signing, and it gets
it's so fun. It's like buying a home. It feels like that kind of process.
Yeah, and then in the Apple ecosystem, you have permissions, which are easy because, like, essentially, what does your app need? And then you have entitlements, like what are your integrations? Like, are you talking to iCloud? Are you talking to Siri? And any of those services? Those are all higher levels of privileges. So things get interesting. Yeah. All right, I think that's the show, right? So
that's a wrap. Thank you. Thank you. Have a good evening, afternoon, and
thank you.
Next week.
See you next time.
Week again.